Today's video is about letting go and seeing what comes out onto the page. But I'm going to give you 3 activities that you can do to get the creativity flowing, to let go of trying to always have an end game in mind when it comes to creating, but allowing the creativity to flow through you through playful mark making, playing with colors, collage, all of it. So I'm going to flip the camera over and show you 3 ways you can get started in your art journal or have pages prepped for when you do sit down, but don't feel like you know what to create or even how to create. We're gonna jumpstart that. So I'm going to flip my camera around and I'm going to show you 3 ways to get started, and I hope you join me. Sometimes staring at a blank page can be overwhelming, and we're going to just find 3 new and refreshing ways to create in our art journal that, or our sketchbook, that is a little bit different than what we're normally used to. And for me personally, I'm going to start with, you can use any paint that you want. I'm going to start with my Hemi gouache, my jelly gouache, because for me it's just right on my desk and easy to use. And one of the first ways to create in your art journal, to find some inspiration, is to just grab some paint colors and randomly paint without any rhyme or reason in your sketchbook. Not only is this a great exercise to sort of cover your page with freedom, it's also a great exercise because all your focus is on this particular activity is to pick some colors you like and put them on the page. That's it. That's all you're doing. Just pick colors you like and put them on the page. I like this color. And I never use this color because sometimes when you're drawing something specific, you gravitate towards different specific colors, and then you don't use colors that you've never tried before. Additionally, when it comes to mixing and smudging and in general making a mess, we have this fear of doing that because we don't want to make mistakes. Not only is this a great way to cover your page, but it's also a great way to play with mark making. And I would say also like color mixing, like what happens when you mix certain colors together. And I'm really starting to get into it now. I'm going to grab a couple other colors. I think I really like this kind of yellow color. And I really like being messy. And one of the things I like about gouache specifically is that it's a very matte finish and you can color on top of it, but you can also reactivate it. So first idea is to grab your paints and put some color onto the page, and then you have to let it dry. But I want to add a little bit more purple here. And maybe like a darker purple. And then I'm kind of mixing it to see what happens. But I think I want to leave that for now. I'm so tempted to keep going. I'm going to do one more thing and then I'm going to leave it. But I feel like I want some. Okay, and now I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, but that is the first thing you can do to get inspired creatively is play with your colors. What colors that you wouldn't normally choose, but also just whatever you feel inspired to putting onto the paper. And you can come back to this later and you've got your pages ready to draw or continue creating on. The next tip I have for sparking creativity is taking some of your old artwork and cutting it up and gluing it onto the page. So I'm going to take this bird here that I really like, and I'm going to cut it out. Actually, I like a couple of these. I like sort of this messy brush strokes here. So I'm just going to cut this up and glue it onto the page. Now, before I glue it on, and I'm just using regular glue, what I want to do is get my markers out. I have highlighter markers, and I want to just do a little mark making before I start gluing it on there. So I'm just grabbing some highlighters. Just have a bunch of markers. You can use any markers. I might even use some colored pencils. And I'm just going to draw some marks. This is not about perfection, and it's not about creating a specific picture. You're really just trying to find your own creative spark. You can also use colored pencil as well, or I have these Woody Stabilo pencils, and for whatever reason I'm really enjoying the blue, so I'm just adding it on here before I get started. So now that I've done a little mark making, and maybe I'll do some scribbles. Some scribbles here. And remember, you're letting go. These are just ways to get that creativity back if you've lost it. All you're doing is prepping your pages and getting your creative juices flowing. This is not about creating a masterpiece or anything. This is just about playing and having fun, which is what your art journal or sketchbook is all about. I would have to put something in between the pages to protect the glue, but now I've got 2 pages that when I open up my sketchbook, I can play around with the ideas that are on here. But the third idea is about shapes. I'm going to grab some of my Caran d'Ache crayons, and I'm just going to draw some simple shapes. Now you can do this in your art journal as an art page, or you can do it and glue it onto the pages like I've done here. You're really just playing with your art supplies and letting the creativity out. And the other thing I'm going to do is use some colored pencils. I want to use some colored pencils because they're not water soluble while these crayons are. So you could use like watercolored pencils, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm really just doing some mark making on my page, but it really helps you discover new things and get that creativity going. I'm really liking whatever this pink is here. And the point is not to create something specific. The point is you're letting go of control and you're working on sort of expanding your creativity without having expectations on yourself. It's also a great way to play with colors that you wouldn't normally play with. Now I can add water, or I probably still have a little glue on here, but I could add water to it. And the other thing I can do with the shapes is I can go back over with some gouache and layering them on top of each other. And you're doing this without expectation. And even if you color on top of things, that's okay too, because it's all part of the process. It's a great way to see how you can blend different colors together. I'm liking this pink and yellow, and now I know I'll want to explore that a little bit more. But I also like the darker yellow over here. And I don't think you'd know how to mix colors and sort of play with your art supplies and discover new things if you're not allowing yourself the freedom to create without expectations. And I think that's why I like this Hemi gouache so much, this inexpensive gouache, because this jelly gouache reminds me a lot of, like I said, acrylics. And so I can get some ideas of something that I might want to do with acrylic paints later on a canvas, where this is just my sketchbook or my art journal. And it's really just a place to explore creating. Sort of like the freedom to create without worrying about failure, without worrying about making mistakes. It's basically the freedom. You're giving yourself permission to play with your art supplies, but also, like I said, play with colors, texture, and find out what you like. I'm really loving that. Now I've got three things. I've got, shapes, but this turned into playing with color and mixing colors. And I've got this one, which is sort of collage work, but I know I'm going to play with this later. And then I also have just a page of all my favorite colors that I can then play with later and actually sketch on top of. Or if I want to continue with my playing with the colors, I can just add some colored pencil on top and see what happens there. Once you have your pages ready to go, it makes it so much easier to create when you open up your sketchbook. And that way, the creativity just comes alive because you already have pages prepped. I never would have done this if I just sat down to do it. Like if I just sat down and thought, oh, I'm going to draw a bird, this is not what would have come out. I don't know if you could see, I added some sparkle glue to it. I think I closed the page before it dried, but I added some wording to it from an old book. You can see right here where it says the message, but now I'm going to put a bit more sparkle there. But let's get that eye back in there. There we go. And now I'm going to let this dry, but I hope these ideas on how to get the creativity flowing can help you to prep your pages or just play with colors, shapes. I'm trying to find that other one. Here it is. Colors, shapes, and textures. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment and let me know if you're going to give it a try. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And most of all, happy creating.